Hello, students. How are you? This is a pleasure to be with you again. And today's class, May the 27th, we're going to speak. We're going to discuss about the major components that will shape the rest, that will shape our the speeches that you are going to deliver in future classes. First of all, I want to thank you because you have participated in the different activities. Most of you have submitted the different assignments and also have participated in the different forums or discussion sections on Schoology. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the key point speech. So, what's the key point speech? Well, it's a basic speech where you determine the key point you want your audience or listeners to remember. Um, your, you discuss each point, you have to discuss each point with concrete and interesting examples, okay? Probably you have already studied this in your courses of composition or reading and writing in the previous years, and but the thing is that you have to point each point with concrete and interesting examples, and then you have to deliver the speech clearly and with confidence. You know, confidence is one of the best ingredients that can make your speech very interesting. Okay, can make it very interesting. This topic will allow you to practice a reliable model for the types of talks that you do or that we do every day. It's always useful and adaptable, okay? Now, why is this? Well, because the key point speech is designed to work with how the audiences or how the listeners want to hear and process information. I mean, in different parts or chunks. Your speeches for this class will be between 4 and 18 minutes. Um, so that's more or less the time that you have to take when delivering your speech. But the basic principles that we're going to talk about easily scale to our long presentations, okay? If you have to give an impromptu project briefing or you have to talk about a new research project, run that as a key point speech. Now, your audience might be from different places, from different communities, so we want our speech or your speech topics to stay general, okay? General topics are good for this class. So if you are thinking in choosing a topic, please you have to select one that remains or that stays general. My chief concern or interest is that you speak on something that you can cover from 4 to 8 minutes, as I told you minutes ago, okay? And that will allow you to distinguish between key ideas in your speech, also the main points and the support, okay, the support that you have for the topic you are talking about. I would say assume that your audience has uh, little to no background in your topic, okay? So I think that general topics uh, will tend to work pretty well in this course. So you might summarize the main aspects of your current job or a work project you are currently working on. You can choose any topic that you want, but be sure that it is general. You could try to persuade also, you could try to persuade people on a general topic, for example, convincing the listeners to donate blood, for example, or something like that. But if you do go with persuasive, you have to avoid controversial topics. Okay, that's my recommendation. Our goal here is design and delivery. Okay, design and delivery. And controversial content kind of pulls us away a little bit too much from these core goals. Wait a minute here. So it's kind of hard to focus on the nuances of a speech if it is like mom lending, for example. If you can, if you choose a topic like this, moon landing was faked. Another topic, no humans ever actually gone to Colombia because of the drug trafficking. Um, that's not a good topic, I think, because it's very controversial. So be aware not choosing controversial topics. Or another topic, for example, the president must step down or something or things like that. Uh, so don't do that, okay? If you want to persuade, pick maybe a more non-controversial topic. If your topic is about persuade people to do something, you might simply inform, for example, inform people about something. Inform, okay? Um, so, for example, you can choose the topic, I love living here in Panama, or things like that. I don't know, it will depend on you. I might spend 5 to 6 minutes, for example, talking about the culture of my city, the different traditions, or whatever. Okay? So, the key point speech is a reliable model for developing talks or speeches, okay? But it's also good for us in this class because it will allow you to practice and refine each rhetorical canon. Do you remember the rhetorical canons that we discussed or we saw last week? Do you remember them? Yes, I'm sure you remember. The first one is invention, remember? Invention. So, first off, we have invention. So, in this speech, we have to decide what the audience needs to hear in order to understand our topic. We have we have arrangement concerns too. Okay, first is invention. You have to select your topic. Then we have arrangement concerns. We have to put the point in the most effective order. This is about arrangement and also about still style. Okay, do you remember style? What are we thinking about? And well, we have to phrase things concisely, people. Okay, and the other canon is memory. We have to practice memory here a lot because of course sometimes we can improvise, but if you follow the outline that we're going to talk about it later, um, you won't lose on the way because the outline is going to help you to memorize things. So if you practice a lot, you can deliver your speech smoothly. Okay, smoothly. And then, of course, there's always the delivery concern. Okay, and here our concern is speaking clearly and confidently. Remember that. Here our concern is speaking clearly and confidently, and you can see that in the schedule. So in this class we are going to work on invention, and let's see if we are going to work also in on on arrangement for the key points speech. Then in the future classes we are going to work on memory and delivery, and finally you are going to deliver your speech. um, and there is a payoff to this, okay, people, because in mastering the key points speech, you will have a reliable model to deliver clear and concise speeches, not only here at college, but also anywhere and at any time. Okay, so the key points speech also will allow you in this class to practice all the fundamentals of good public speaking. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the different aspects that are going to be evaluated, which has to do with the rubric. In skills training, when you are learning any skill and professors have to evaluate you, they should provide you with the rubrics, because rubrics are the roadmap that you're going to use to develop and do an excellent or good work. So rubrics are very, very important. Now, a rubrics is just a set of criteria for judging a performance. In this case, the performance of your speech, the delivery of your speech, and it will give you insight. Okay, a rubric will give you an insight into what distinguishes a great speaker from a good speaker from a below average speaker. I'm going to repeat that. It's going to help you to distinguish between a great speaker, a good speaker, and from a below average speaker. So, rubrics will guide the practice. Rubrics, of course, is going to help you to know what to do. What to do. So, people, when you have to develop or you have to do any activity, you have to check out that rubric, okay? Because that's the criteria that the teacher or the evaluator is going to use to check your performance. So rubrics should also help you to know what it looks like when the thing is done well, okay? Done well, and when it's done poorly. And then you get to apply these criteria to your own performance. And then finally, rubrics can sharpen criticism, okay? So the criteria for the key point speech rubric can help you make better judgments about your own speeches and also, of course, the speeches of others. Okay, so that's kind of the benefits of rubrics. Now let's talk about the rubrics that I'm going to be using for the key point speech. And again, every item on here reflects good speaking habits, but it also reflects what we are going to be doing in this class of oratory. And this rubric is built on the rhetorical canons, okay, and also on other aspects that I'm going to explain. Um, and this rubric is built on the rhetorical canons, as I said, and we're going to evaluate the speech in terms of invention, in terms of the arrangement, style, memory, delivery, okay, and also the body language and the time that you take to deliver your speech. So first up, invention. With invention, as I have explained before, we are concerned with the content, okay? When we say invention, we are referring to the content of the speech. So we start off with questions like the speaker, let's see the slide, okay, here. So did the speaker include and explain appropriate main points that clarified the speech topic? So in essence, were there some points in there that should have been in there? Were there some points that needed to be in there that weren't? Then we can talk about support, okay? So when we speak about support, we are referring to the different evidences that you have to support the main point or the main topic of your speech. Okay, if you have statistics, if you have examples, if you have proofs, that's support. Okay, so how was it? Could you see how the support related to the main point? Was there a passage that was maybe a little confusing? Was the content confusing? Was there something that needed more description? Is it clear for the public, for the audience? So those questions are going to help you to get better or to improve your content. And then we can go to the next canon, which is, let's see, arrangement. Okay. Did the speaker arrange the speech elements appropriately? So did the main points really go together well? Did the speaker orally highlight speech structure? How were the previews, reviews, and transitions? Okay, so basically, how easy was it for you as a listener, to follow along with the speech? Did everything make sense? Or by the time you come to the end, you're like surprised you're done, okay? So that's not what we want to happen. You want people to understand very well what is your topic about. So you have to arrange the different ideas carefully to get that goal. So then after arrangement, um, I can talk about now about um, let's see, the style. Okay, the style is the other canon that is going to be evaluated in your future um, deliveries. In this case, we have some questions like this. Did the speaker phrase the main points clearly and concisely? Or the phrases may be too long or they are confusing? Did the speaker discuss the support well? So this is the style. Did the speaker get into the details or the examples quickly, or were there some examples that were discussed in an unclear way? So that's a style, people. So be careful. Don't be so fast in your speech because sometimes people don't understand. Okay, so you have to pause when it is necessary. Okay, you have to make some pauses to sometimes silences help your speech. Now the other aspect is the delivery. Did the speaker appear confident and animated in front of the audience? That's tough to perform, but it's pretty important. How was the breathing and projection of the person, of the speaker? How was it? Breathing, breathing is very important, and you can also investigate more profoundly about it. Breathing, how to control the breathing, because sometimes we are speaking so fast that people um, don't understand, and we don't even breathe well because we are hurried and we don't care if the people are understanding or not. So be careful with that. If you can investigate more about breathing in this case, you can do it, people. It's going to help you. I know that some of your speeches are going to be submitted on video, okay? But I can still hear someone retaining too much air and not breathing properly, okay? We can talk about speech and rate in future classes too. So, was the speaker providing important prosodic cues to help you understand the content easily, or was the speech kind of a little bit more monotone? Be careful, because sometimes our speeches are so monotone that people tend to get um, bored. Okay, so this is for us is kind of where we are get into the memory part of this topic. So let's see the next slide about memory. So did the speaker seem to know the speech deeply? Because it's not only about memory. The thing is that you have to master. The thing is that you have to know deeply your topic. Because imagine if some if a person from the audience has a question and you don't know your topic, that is going to be very, very embarrassing. Okay? So, does it seem the speaker forgets some aspects? You have to master the topic. Okay? So, that's about memory. The next point is about body language and time limit. Sorry here because this word is misspelled. Now I fix it. It's time, okay? Time limit. So, how was the movement and gesturings and gestures? Were there some distracting movements? People, because our bodies speak. You know that? Sometimes with our gestures, we are speaking, we are transmitting information. So, body language is rather important in in this subject in oratory. Body language. Okay, we can speak with our eyes, we can speak with our movement. Okay, so were there some distracting movements, or were there some things that you just brought up with brilliance? Finally, we can talk about if the speaker delivered the speech that was in an appropriate length, okay, of time. And having time limits is important, people, because in a speech class, in an oratory class, it demands that you uh, can make choices. You have to choose very well the topics, the subtopics of your speech. So you can ask some questions like this, for example, what are you going to include, or what are you going to exclude from your topics? Because there are topics that are very complex, and they need extra explanation, I don't know, extra points. So it depends on your choice. You have to select the most important subpoints of your topic. So in summary, people, rubrics are very important to teaching and learning, and they can help us investigate a skill like speech much more closely. So have in mind that a rubric is our map, okay? Is our map in this course, and it's certainly a general guide to better speaking. Okay, so now, students, we are going to watch a video, and I want you to pay attention to the different principles that the man is going to speak about in order to planify your future speeches. So let's pay attention.
This lecture, we'll talk through a basic model for organizing your ideas. What is this basic model? It's an argument. Now, I know like a lot of people are going to hear that and they're going to want to shut off the video, but don't. Because when I say argument, I don't mean argumentativeness. I don't mean somebody being a jerk. No, you're wrong. I don't mean that. An argument at a basic level is just a statement with support or elaboration. So for example, I'm a faculty member at the University of Washington. That's a statement that allows me to elaborate, and that's what I mean when I say argument. Now, this model of argument comes from the work of Stephen Toulmin. He was a British philosopher. Originally, Toulmin's model was a way of describing arguments, but it has some real uses for us because this model can help you write clearer speeches. So what I'd like to do in this video is focus on 3 core components of his model. So first, we have claims. Now, a claim is just an assertion that you want the audience to take as valid. So this is the thing you want the audience to remember or to understand or to believe or whatever. In a key point speech, your key points are usually claims. So we've got claims. Next, we have support. Support's just the evidence and information used to illustrate and validate the claim. So you can use examples, statistics, whatever. The support shows that you're grounding the claim on something. Now, support by itself doesn't validate the claim. As a speaker, you need to explain how and why the support relates to the claim. Now, that's the warrant. It's what links the support to the claim. So those are the basic components of an argument. Now, think about argument as forming a chunk of talk. You put a couple of related chunks together and boom, you got yourself a speech. So, for example, here's a key point speech describing my job as a speech professor. So as you can see here, I've got 3 key points. Now, each key point is a claim. So each Roman numeral here is a claim. Now, these aren't wildly controversial claims, right? I teach, I do service. But these are the things in this speech I want people to remember. If you take a look at the next level, each example, is support. So each A and B on this outline are just pieces of support I use to explain the claim. So as I look at this, I'd probably spend about 2 minutes, maybe a little bit longer on each key point. And in each key point, what I'm doing is I'm explaining the claim, support, and warrant. And that's a short speech. But if you've got more complex or longer speeches, generally you're just looking at more chunks. So here's another example. This is an hour-long lecture I give on part of Aristotle's book, The Rhetoric. So you can see it here. I group my key points into larger sections. So I put together 3 claims about how Aristotle defines rhetoric. And then I've got 3 key points about how he classifies speeches. And so each section here is probably about 25 minutes. And each point has examples and evidence, and I didn't include that on the slide because it'd just take up too much space. But if we look at that first point, for example, in that point I would talk about how rhetoric is like dialectic. Now see, this is an important point for Aristotle. That's my claim here. I want to explain that claim through historical and textual support. So in that chunk of talk, I talk about how rhetoric and dialectic are both methods, how both deal with questions, so on and so forth. But all of my discussion in that section is just meant to explain why, for Aristotle, rhetoric's like dialectic. Because that's the key point I want students to remember, right? That's what I want them to understand. Everything I'm going to be talking about in that section is driven by the need to explain the claim that I'm trying to unpack there. So, obviously, an argument model is appropriate for speeches that need to be clear. It's not probably a great model for poetry. So don't do that. It doesn't fit. It doesn't work, right? But what do you get by approaching appropriate speeches from an argument standpoint? Well, you get focus. Remember, in a speech, your audience isn't going to remember everything you have to say. And I don't mean that as like a negative comment about you. You're boring. You should dislike it. How do you stay awake when talking to yourself? I don't mean it like that. I mean it as a comment about the human brain. We're just not built to retain each and every word that you say. So, as a speaker, you need to prioritize. What are the really important ideas? And this argument model prioritizes claims. They're the bits you want people to remember. Now, support is in there, and it's important, but its job is to clarify and strengthen the claim. And focusing on warrants helps the audience understand the relationship between support and claim. So, argument doesn't always mean shouting. It can mean logical relationships, and that's why it can help us in making our speeches clearer.
So people, this is the lesson summary. This is the topic summary. Um, Number one, it says we can refine an argument as a claim with guaranteed support. Number two, claim an assertion that you want the audience to take as valid. Number three, support, evidence used to validate your claim. And number four, warrant, what links the support to the claim. So take those points into account in your future speeches. Okay. So, some questions for you to reflect on. Okay, what is an argument? What is an argument according to what the professor explained on the video? This is a Tolman's model, remember? Claim, support, and the other is, what is the number three? I forgot to put it here. Is warrant, remember? Claim, support, and warrant. Now we are going to in this part of the video, we are going to listen to some oral arguments, okay? We are going to listen to some oral arguments and then you will try to pick out the claims and support. The claim and the support, you are going to pick out, okay? I'm going to give you three options after you watch the video and then you are going to participate in the discussion forum on Schoology. You have to stop the video and go and participate in the discussion forum on Schoology. Okay? The goal here is to practice, okay? The goal here is to practice hearing the components of an argument instead of just seeing them, okay? So please listen to this first audio. Listen carefully.
Seattle's a great place to live. I've lived here for a while and I've come to love this city and the region. There's beautiful scenery here, mountains and beaches. We have green grass year round. The weather is exceptionally mild. You may have heard that it rains here a lot. It does stay cloudy for most of the winter, but we get less actual rainfall than many other places in the country. If you're looking for a job, Seattle's still going through a bit of a boom, especially if you're in a technology industry. We are host to a number of huge tech firms like Microsoft, Amazon, and Google. I've loved it here and just think that Seattle's a great place to live.
So people, which of the below best represents the argument you just heard? Number one claims Seattle is nice. Evidence the speaker likes it, is a nice place and good place to live. Number two claim Seattle's weather is mild. Evidence average rainfall, not much snow. Three claims Seattle is a great place to live. Evidence beautiful scenery, mild weather, a good job market. Now you have to stop the video here and select what is the best option, okay? And go and participate on the discussion forum on Schoology, okay? Once you do that on Schoology, you can come back and continue watching the video. Let's listen let's listen to another audio, okay? The first one was pretty straightforward. Now we are going to listen to another audio a little bit more complicated, okay? So let's listen.
I suppose one of the most important things to think about when dealing with a new client is thinking about how they're going to interact with our product. I mean, we know what we want to do and how we want to do it, but it becomes more challenging. And I think this is the role of a good salesperson, to figure out exactly where and how the client wants to make use of what we have to offer. I certainly remember a salesperson we used to have, I forget his name, but he'd been raised in that old, let me sell you a product sort of way of thinking. So he'd be like, when he was with a client, he'd be all like, here's what my system can do for you. And he like never changed the sales pitch. It was always the same. It didn't matter if he was talking to a small 10-person company or major manufacturer. He just figured he was so smooth that he could move the product. I don't remember sales figures, but hey, no surprise, they weren't great, right?
Now, which of the below best represents the argument you just heard? Number one, claim good sales requires understanding your product's strength, evidence, bad salesperson. Number two, claim good salespeople listen to clients' needs, evidence, bad salesperson. Number three, claim good sales requires good relationships, evidence, trust is important to clients. Which of the three is the best? Or is the correct? Now you can start the video here and go and participate on Schoology in the discussion forum. Now let's continue with the other topic of this class, um, which is outlining and flowing. I'm going to talk about outlining and flowing, okay? Um, I want to talk about this important concept because I think this is one of the most important aspects that you have to take into account in order to deliver good and excellent presentations or speeches. Okay, so they are going to be helpful to you in general as you're delivering and developing speeches in different subjects, not only in oratory. I know, I'm sure that you are going to deliver different speeches in different subjects. And so outlining, you're probably familiar with, as I told you some minutes ago, because in composition, in reading and writing, you have to use outlines, right? So you've been probably outlining for a long time, and it's basically just preparing a speech in a hierarchical structure. Okay, sorry. So this can take various forms, but it's just putting the claims and evidence. Um, So it's just putting the claims and evidence in some type of order, okay? So you have to organize it very well. Now, outlining has really strong benefits for speaking. So to begin with, an outline allows you to carefully plan out what you're going to say. It gives you that type of control, okay? Control. But also putting your key concepts in an outline format focuses on the relationships. Okay, it's not only putting by putting the different subtopics. No, they have to be related one another. Okay, so it makes it easier to see if the claims are subordinate to the thesis. The thesis is the main point of your speech. Okay, is the general guidance of your speech. So it makes it easier to see if the support is actually irrelevant to the point at hand. So an outline can also set you up for good performance. Okay, so if you have to write out a speech, if you have to manuscript it, that's rare, but it happens. So if you have to do that, an outline is a great first step because it gets the logic of the speech in order. But most of the speeches that you do are probably extemporized, meaning that you have your notes there, but the words are generated for the most part um, at the moment of speaking. Yes, you can have notes, but sometimes most of the words that you use are generated, as I said, at the moment of speaking. So an outline here is fundamental. So you can plan out the speech carefully, practice it with the outline. You can practice, of course, with the outline, get a really strong sense for what you want to do in that speech. But then, when it comes time to deliver it, You just stand up there and talk to the audience, and that's generally uh, less nerve wracking, okay? And it lends itself to better delivery anyway. So that's outlining. Okay, now I'm going to talk about flowing. What is flowing? And you are going to do an exercise. You are going to do an exercise in order to put this into practice. So is it clear outlining? Is the roadmap you are going to follow in order to write your speech and also to deliver it in front of your audience. Now, what is flowing? What is flowing? Um, so flowing is taking notes, okay? Flowing is taking notes on a speech in an outline format. So that's flowing. Why would you flow? Why would we flow? Well, flowing is very useful as an evaluative and analytical tool because it allows us, okay, sorry, it allows us as listeners to track where the speaker is clear, okay? Now you flow when you are a listener, okay? Is it clear? When you are a listener and another person is speaking, then you can flow. So is the track where the speaker you can realize if the speaker is clear, where the speaker is unclear, where the argument is strong, maybe where the argument is weak. Okay, so in essence we outline our speeches. Okay, we outline our speeches and we flow the speeches, sorry, of others. And I think that both of these work together, they work together, outlining and flowing work together to help us or to help you better prepare and analyze speeches. So this is not only about delivering a speech, but it's also about how to analyze the speeches from other people. So what we're going to do now is we're going to watch a sample speaker and you have to take notes. In other words, you have to flow, okay? You have to take a piece of paper and you are going to listen to the speaker and you are going to outline what the speaker is saying, okay? Following an outline format. That's what we call flowing, okay? I don't know if you understand this part. If you don't know, you can ask me on the WhatsApp group and I will tell you more profoundly what is it about. So basically what you have to do now is this. You have to listen the speaker and make an outline about the topic of this speaker, okay? So we're going to go and take a look at this video and then uh, I will give you some other instructions. So let's listen to this video. Well, it says, watch the video and flow about it. Provide one outline about a topic you would like to speak about. Well, this is the assignment. This is what we are going to do tonight. You are going to watch the video. Well, first, you went to Schoology and participate in the discussion forum, remember? Second activity, watch the video and flow about it. You have to watch the video and make an outline about that speech. And the other activity is to provide a possible outline about a topic you would like to speak about. Take into account the time limit. So remember, the time limit is almost or is between 4 to 8 minutes. And this is not for grading, people. These activities are not for grading, but they are for your benefit, okay? Because in future classes you are going to deliver some speeches and you have to be clear and you have to be prepared doing this part of this process, okay? So now let's listen to, sorry. So people, I couldn't put the video here, the video that you're going to hear, but it's going to be attached in another video. So this class has two videos, this one and the other one that you need to watch in order to do this second activity, okay? So go and watch the video on today's section.